Well, hello, friends and fans. My name is John Lerack, and welcome to today's episode of The Magic of Music. Today, we're going to uncover some of the mysteries of getting around the piano in an efficient manner. For most of the rest of the video today, I'm going to focus the camera on my hands so you can see what I'm doing. Usually when we start piano, we start in what's known as five-finger position. And we have our five fingers here, and this is different from guitar. In guitar, we don't number our thumb, we number them 1, 2, 3, 4. But in piano, our thumb is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That gets confusing for guitarists who try to switch over and play piano. You have to think a little differently, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in five-finger position, we take our hand and we put our thumb number 1 on middle C, and we play up C, D, E, F, G, F, E, D, and back to C. Now that's great to have that nice little hand position. We covered these 5 notes. You can do things like play chords, or a chord at least. You can play some fun little songs like this. Or this. Both of those songs were accomplished just using these 5 notes on the keyboard, C through G. That's wonderful, and we can play some other fun little melodies here, but we have 88 keys on this piano, on this keyboard rather, all the way from A on the bottom to C on the top. So it's a lot of ground to cover, and with only 5 fingers, we need to figure out how to do that in an efficient way. So I've seen students do things like this. Which is painful for me to even watch myself do, much less how painful it is to play. It's really awkward, it's inefficient. You never ever want to take your thumb and pass it over the top of anything. You're always going to want to take your thumb, and to move further on the keyboard, you pass the thumb underneath, like that. So often when people are beginning to learn piano and learning scales, they will do something that looks like this. Well, look, I passed my thumb underneath, but what was bad about that? You may think nothing, but it was not good. And the reason is this. That twisting of my wrist, that extra arm movement is going to slow me down when I want to get faster, and it's going to start causing complications here in my wrist, in my arm, in my hand. So we want to eliminate that as much as we possibly can, so that when we pass the thumb under, the wrist doesn't move, or moves as minimally as possible. Boy, I need to practice my scales there at the top, it looks like. But anyway, you get the idea, I think, of you want to pass under without moving. So I'm going to give you a couple exercises to practice that I found really helpful. So the first one, have our thumb here on middle C, play it, then play D and E together. And the next place we want our thumb, if we're going to keep going up the scale, is F. So we pass underneath and back down, and just practice that so you're very efficient at it. Then you can break it down to 1 note at a time. Then we get there, and we want to keep going, so we're going to do As you can see, I'm having to adjust my arm a little bit because this distance, I'm coming over 3 notes now instead of just the 2 I did here. So my arm has to move a little bit, but I'm not doing this. You can also do that like I did the original exercise with a block. It's much harder because of the distance. If your fingers are long enough to reach it, it's a great way to practice. See, it's a little sloppy for me. Okay, now the next thing we want to do, we've learned how to have the thumb go under, but how are we going to have it go back down? The hand has to go over the top of the thumb now while we're descending. So when we go up, the thumb goes under. When we go down, the thumb still goes under, but the hand has to go over the top of it. So once you master that, you can play scales. Woo. And you can play them all the way up and down the keyboard. And then you'll start to learn to factor things in like chromatics. See how my thumb is just passing under. So I can go all the way down, or we can play arpeggios, which are broken chords. Instead of doing this, I try to keep my wrist as stationary as possible without being locked. That'll give me much more speed and much more efficiency when going through the keyboard. So now I'm going to show you some examples of how to use this in practice. I'm going to play just a few measures of one of my favorite classical pieces. This actually was written for violin when it was first written, but it's been transcribed for piano, and I think it's just absolutely lovely. And I'm going to play just a few measures of the Meditation from Thais, which is an opera by Jules Massenet. Now watch here especially. You see how I had to move underneath around here, especially during this part? And really make my fingers. And then up here, look what I did up here. I traded fingers so I could get down here more efficiently. Let's look at the left hand. The left hand starts like this. First we play this octave, and then we move up here. Back here. I don't have all this hand twisting and arm twisting going on, trying to keep it as smooth as possible. Now let's see what some of this looks like when I put my hands together. Especially notice my left hand at the beginning if you can see it. And it goes on from there. See why it's a beautiful piece? So that's it for today's lesson in the magic of music and the mystery of moving around the keyboard in an efficient manner. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up down below and subscribe to my page. I'd also love it if you would follow me on Facebook and Instagram at John Lirac Music. And as always, if you have something you'd like to see me cover in one of these videos, please leave a comment below and I'll do my best to get to it in the future. In the meantime, thanks for tuning in and enjoy the magic of music.